there was a spark, a fire ignited by the breath of God, placed within the hearts of every soul. But over time, the flame flickered and grew cold, distracted and distant. Yet deep inside, there was a longing, a hunger for something more, to light up the darkness in every corner of the earth, to spark hope in the hopeless, and to ignite the hope of the gospel to those around us.
Alrighty, good morning everybody. Good to see you. Oh, I like that, a powerful greeting from here in the middle. Great to have you with us at our 9:30 service this morning. And before I dive into my message for today, just wanted to give a little more detail about our upcoming At the Table series. You would have seen it mentioned briefly in the video announcements earlier. But we are going to be handing out in 2 weeks' time this little A5 booklet. And the idea behind the series is this. In the Bible, tables were powerful places of community and transformation. A lot of Jesus' ministry happened around tables. With his disciples, he ate and he connected with them. A lot of the stories and parables that he told were around feasts and tables. And so in this series, we're going to be looking at 6 passages from the New Testament. On Sundays, we're going to be preaching from those passages. And midweek, in our groups, we're going to be reading through the same passages again and answering 3 questions, very simple questions. In fact, it's the same 3 questions each week about those 6 stories. So for example, on week 1, our title is Feasting with the Father. And a story that we're looking at is Luke 15, verse 11, which is the story of the lost son. In fact, there were 2 lost sons in that story, the older and the younger brother. That story talks about God giving us a table of love and grace and inviting us to his table. So what we are hoping to do in our groups is the first part of our meeting is actually eat together, even if it's a very, very simple meal. Doesn't matter if it's around a dining room table or a coffee table, but that we connect around physical food. And then the back half of the meeting, we can connect around the spiritual food, going through those 3 questions. At the end of this message, we're going to be looking at this Engage sign-up form, and there's place here to actually sign up to join or lead one of those groups. But what we are inviting every single person in the church to do over those 6 weeks, one of 2 things. Either join a group, if you're not already part of a group, and secondly, if you've got a free hour in a week and a few friends or neighbors or family members, why don't you think of leading a group? I've given you the whole outline, actually, of the series. We'll be handing these out and doing a training the week before the series starts. But this is about as easy as it gets to getting a few friends or family members together, looking at some of the stories of Jesus and communing around food together. We, of course, are also going to be having a day of fasting and prayer, not this Tuesday, but the following one, where in anticipation of what God's going to do through this series, as a whole church, we're going to be fasting breakfast and lunch, and then breaking our fast at 6 p.m. with supper together here at the church, or if you can't make it, wherever you are, and then praying together from 7 till about 7:45. After that, we'll have our training for everybody leading an At the Table group. So we're really excited about that, and looking forward to what God has to do, what God is going to do through that. Switching lanes a little bit into my message for this morning, I've got up with me here a bunch of keys. In and of themselves, these keys are not particularly valuable until you lose them, and then you realize how important they are. But it's just a little piece of metal, really. This key starts, a small key, but it starts an engine of a motor vehicle. This key over here opens the door of my office here at the church, and that little key over there opens the door to our home. A little key opens sometimes big doors. And what I've discovered in following Jesus Christ and in reading his word is that so often in the kingdom of heaven and Jesus's leadership of us, it's small keys that open big doors. And I'd like to talk about one of those seemingly small keys today, and it's the key of serving or service. And my title this morning is The Power of Service, the power of service. There's a story in Matthew chapter 20, which at first amuses me and then really challenges me as I read through it. In Matthew 20, verse 20, it says this: Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons and kneeling down, asked a favor of him. Now, the sons of Zebedee were James and John. So if you're familiar with the stories of Jesus, he had 12 disciples, the three closest ones, Peter, James, and John. They were brothers, James and John, and their mom, plus these two grown men, burly fishermen, come to Jesus and ask him, the mom wants to ask a favor of him. What is it you want? Jesus asks. So here she goes. Grant that one of these two sons of mine sit at your right hand and the other at your left in your kingdom. Now, you've got to love the heart of all moms of every age, everywhere, and their very best for their kids. But here's James and John with her, these two grown adult men, and mom is asking Jesus for a special favor. Jesus, in your kingdom one day, we know that you're the King of Kings. Could you keep two special places for my boys? Doesn't matter. They're both nice kids. James or John on your right and the other one on your left. Essentially, what they're after is greatness. We want place of recognition, of prominence, and of power in your kingdom, please, Jesus. We would love a nice throne in your right and left so that everybody can see there's Jesus, and look how close to Jesus James and John, and look how prominent they are in Jesus' new kingdom. Now, in verse 24, it says this: when the 10, this is the rest of the disciples, the other 10, when they heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Why do you think that would be? And before we answer that question, let's ask this challenging question. Let's say that you and I were part of the other 10. And those two brothers go and have a little secret meeting with Jesus, asking for a special place of prominence, significance, and greatness. I'm pretty sure that for every one of us in this room, we too would have felt indignant. Why? Because we wanted that for ourselves. Maybe one answer, or the other answer could be, well, I don't want that for myself, but I also don't want it to be unfair. Like if I can't have it, then nobody should have it. And Jesus then uses this as an incredible teaching moment. He says to them in verse 25, Jesus called them together, all 12, and he says, guys, you know, I introduced that word, guys. Jesus said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man, speaking about himself, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. This is profound. Jesus is comparing the worldly system of doing things to his kingdom. We know that the ultimate king of all worldly kingdoms is the devil himself. And so Jesus says, in the worldly system in which you guys, that's what you think is normal, greatness is all about lording it over others, having the recognition, places of prominence, power, and authority. In essence, he's saying, James and John and their mom misjudged what greatness looks like. They thought it was related to having a throne, a place of prominence. But he says, guys, let me tell you, in my kingdom where I'm the king, you want to know what true greatness looks like? Greatness is directly linked to serving other people. And then he says, take me as an example, Jesus Christ. He says, I didn't come to have everybody serve me, but I came to serve and lay down my life as a ransom for many. Talk about blowing a mindset that through all earthly kingdoms and all ages has existed, that we try and climb the ladder of prominence, power, and greatness. And Jesus says, actually, greatness is linked to serving. Service is a superpower. It's a small key that opens a big door. I'd like to talk this morning about 4 reasons why serving is so powerful. There's many more reasons, but I've picked 4 for this morning. Serving is powerful if you're taking notes. Number 1, because it's what Jesus did. Serving is powerful because when I serve, I'm copying Jesus. That's what he did. Jesus, the most powerful person who has ever lived at many, many levels. Like, for example, he created all of the heavens and all of the earth. That's pretty powerful. At a human level, when he's going into the Garden of Gethsemane, his disciples want to fight for him, and he says, guys, don't you know that I could call out to my Father who could send me 12 legions of angels right now? Now, a Roman legion had about 6,000 soldiers in it. So Jesus is saying, I could, with one prayer, have more than 70,000 angels with me right now. But I choose not to. One angel just by tussen hakkies here. In the Old Testament, there's a story where a single angel defeated an army, wiped out 185,000 people that were attacking Jerusalem. Imagine having 72,000 of them at your disposal. But Jesus didn't view that as the ultimate power. He chose to define himself through service and through laying down his life. In verse 28, the Son of Man came to serve and to give his life. And then in John 13, again, another chapter about serving, he says to his followers then and his followers now, he says, I have set you an example that you should do as I've done for you. In other words, when I serve other people, I'm following the example Jesus Christ set for me. The service of Jesus that led to my life transforming is extended through me when I serve other people. Serving is incredibly powerful, and one of the marks of Christ followers that are trying to become more like Jesus is that they live a life of serving others and looking out for the benefit of other people. Serving is powerful, secondly, because it develops a sense of purpose and belonging. When I was in grade 8, I went to a boarding school in a new town. And one of my friends at school with me, his name was Stuart, we're still good friends to this day. He said to me, wouldn't I go along to church with him? In fact, on Friday night to the youth of that church. I'd never been there before. And he kept inviting me. It's one of the kindest things one person could do for another is invite them along to some kind of church gathering or into their home. And so I go along, and for the first while that I was there, I just hung out with other grade 8 boys. There were a few of us that were there together. And Stuart knew some of the girls that were there, but I didn't. So I was kind of relying on him for introductions. But none of that mattered. What really changed in my feeling of a sense of belonging was when I stuck up my hand to get involved, to help out. And at one point, they were trying to build a little bit of a youth band. So with my extremely limited musical talent, but willing heart, I said, I'll join. And for some reason, they always kept me muted on the PA system when our band was playing. But what happened is I started to make some new friends. I started to connect with some new people. And then I started to learn how the sound system operates and started help with the setup of the sound system for our youth meetings. Stuff that had to be carried in and out. And then how do these, on the mixing desk, how does all of this work? I started to connect with different people that I wouldn't normally have got to connect with. The impact on the inside is that now when I arrived there, it wasn't just looking for my 2 or 3 friends. I started to know other people by name and started to connect with them. And what I've observed as an amazing phenomenon is that when people step out to follow Jesus and they say, I'm willing to serve somewhere, one of the extraordinary byproducts of that is they start to develop a sense of community and a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging, a sense of community. I notice it in the coffee shop, security team, welcome team, all throughout the life of the church. People join in the first week or two, they don't know the other people there by name. And then after a few times of their team being on duty, by the way, for most of the teams on a Sunday, people serve 1 out of 4 Sundays. Attend 3, serve on 1. And they start to make new friends. They start to meet new people, connect with others, and they walk in now to a place where they feel not just where they're attending, but where they're involved. I noticed the same thing midweek. We have our Nation Changes Distribution Center. It's directly behind this wall behind me. It's a beehive of activity throughout the week. Lots of good being done in all different directions. And we've got a staff team that are part of that. But a lot of the work is done through volunteers who, through various ways, have found out there's space for me to get involved. I've got some midweek hours available, Monday to Thursday mornings. And they're not all there every morning, but some people come for Tuesdays, for example, to run adult literacy class. And I've observed that when those people come together, when those volunteers come together and have a cup of coffee, they hang out with each other because they've got to know each other, they've built new friends, they've made new connections, there's a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging. Serving is powerful not only because it's what Jesus did and it develops a sense of purpose and belonging, but thirdly, serving is powerful because it is good for my health. This one might surprise you. I came across some secular articles written on the power of serving. Had nothing to do with volunteering in church space, just serving somewhere in the community around you. And these articles reference different studies and different statistics. And these were some of the things that they said. First, one of the quotes, it said, people who volunteered on a regular basis were less likely to develop high blood pressure. Wow. It went on to say that Gallup poll data, Gallup is a big polling organization in the US, Gallup poll data is pretty clear. People who regularly provide service to their communities have higher levels of well-being, hands down. The article was referring to emotional and mental well-being that comes from the benefits of looking outside of oneself, which of course leads to physical health if our mental and emotional space is doing well. For those who are parents here today, I'm guessing that you look at your children through this lens as well. Every human being is born selfish, and part of the job of parents is to help them see the rest of the world around them and engage with that world. What a joy to any mom or dad to see a child go from just selfish thinking to thinking about someone beyond themselves. I want to help somebody, I want to give to somebody, we delight in that, and hopefully we celebrate that, because what you celebrate, you get more of. But the same is true for all of us across all of our lives. Our Father in heaven delights over us as children when he sees us living for something beyond ourselves. And one of the extraordinary side benefits of this is that it improves our health. People who volunteer regularly, another quote said, have higher levels of happiness. Now, Jesus didn't say, I want you to serve so you can be happy. He just said, serve so you can follow my example. And one of the extraordinary benefits over a lifetime of serving, people who volunteer regularly have higher levels of happiness. How's this for a profound statement? Service and happiness are irrevocably and powerfully linked. I don't think that means every time I serve somewhere, I feel extraordinarily happy. Sometimes it could be frustrating. There's obviously work involved. But over a lifetime, there's the happiness, the satisfaction of living for a purpose greater than myself. One of the excuses many of us have for not serving in different areas is we say, I don't have time. And one of the authors that I read made this link. They said, when we make the time to serve others, it improves our physical health, which inadvertently buys us more time in terms of improving our lives, the length of our lives. Wow. Serving is powerful, number 4, because it impacts the lives of others. Not only is it what Jesus did, not only does it develop a sense of purpose and belonging, but it's good for my health. And number 4, it impacts the lives of others. I came across this reference to a Peanuts cartoon strip. And in the cartoon strip, Schroeder is watching his favorite TV show, and Lucy walks in and changes the channel to watch what she wants to watch. So Schroeder says to her, what makes you think you can walk in here and just change things to suit yourself? So Lucy looks sternly at him and holds up her open hand and then closes it into a fist. And she says, these 5 fingers, taken individually, they aren't much, but when I squeeze them together, they become a powerful force to be reckoned with. So Schroeder very meekly says, okay. And then at the final frame of that little strip, he looks at his own hand and he says, why can't you guys work together like that? One of the powers related to serving is that by ourselves individually, we may feel that our serving doesn't amount to much. But when it's combined together with what other people are doing in their areas of grace and gifting, it becomes a force of great impact for the kingdom of heaven. This week, I had a chat with a dad in this church. In fact, he's Ella's father. Ella was leading worship up here this morning, standing here in the middle in the white dress. And their family joined CityHill when Ella and her sister Tyler were little, beginning end of junior school, I think. They're now both students at university, and their younger brother is in grade 8. And their dad said to me with tears in his eyes this week, he said, I just want to thank you. He says, I've been reflecting over the impact of CityHill on our kids. And I want to thank you particularly for what CityHill kids have done in impacting the lives of our children. Every Sunday, coming along to church, being part of the CityHill Kids program. Now, I'd like you to look at that through another lens, going back to when the two girls were at junior school. There were adult volunteers every Sunday willing to step out and be either small group leaders or be part of the big group storytelling time to connect with the children that were coming along. And each week by itself might not seem like a lot, but taken together over the course of years, a force for great impact, the CityHill Kids program, on their kids, on our kids, and on all the children that go through it. But it takes somebody to stand up and say, I'm willing to serve for a purpose beyond myself. Before we get to these sign-up forms, one last verse that is a very powerful one to me. In Ephesians 4 and verse 16, it says, from him, Jesus, the whole body grows and builds itself up in love. This is referring to the church, by the way. The whole body builds itself up in love as each part does its work. As each part does its work. And one of the great joys that I have in my heart related to this amazing local church is the culture of serving that already exists here. I'm not preaching this message because I don't think people are serving. I'm preaching it because I'm so excited by the impact of the serving I observe that I want to give the opportunity to people who aren't yet serving somewhere to get connected and to get involved. And to that end, our team have put together this little A5 piece of paper. And so what I'd like to do is just to go through it, explain it very briefly, and then give us a minute to fill it out if you'd like to. And then we'll close the meeting in prayer after that. I'm going to start on the front piece of this page which says how to get involved. And you'll see there's space there for personal details. So if you, I beg your pardon, are about to tick any of the boxes on the back, please fill in your details there. And this is a very special request from the people who've got to try and decipher our handwriting tomorrow. Please print clearly, especially your phone number and your email address, so that when an email gets sent to you, it actually arrives at the correct place and that we can get hold of you. On the reverse side of that are the different blocks and areas to get involved. And before diving into the specifics, I'd like to suggest, especially if you're new to CityHill, that you can probably only tick 2 or 3 places on this form and be meaningfully involved. It's impossible to tick every box because a whole lot of these things run parallel with each other. So I'm going to start. Oh, and another thing to mention, if you're already serving somewhere, you don't need to re-sign up for that serving team. Your team leader has hopefully got you on a roster and you're part of that team. And thank you so much for serving there. The first place of involvement relates to our groups, city groups. So if you would like to join a life group, men's group or ladies group, welcome to sign up there. And for those 6 weeks that lie ahead of us, when we do this At the Table series from the 9th, if you'd like to join an At the Table group, just tick that block, the 4th one down. And very importantly, if you would like to lead an At the Table group, please tick that bottom box. You might not have the people lined up yet, but your heart is willing. That's the main thing. just tick that bottom box, I'm willing to lead, and at the table group, and then we'll send you details of that training that we have. The next 2 blocks along at the top, City Serve and CityHill Kids, relate to Sunday serving areas. If you sign up one of the City Serve blocks, you'd be rostered on 1 week in 4. And if you serve at CityHill Kids, you'd be on the serving team there 1 week in 3. The kids team serve 1 and 3 for familiarity's sake, that children get familiar with a team that are with them every 3rd week. So the City Serve blocks there is coffee shop. Some of the, again, all training is provided in terms of barista training, how to operate the tills, serve people from behind the coffee shop counters. Our Sunday production team is everything that happens in the booth at the bottom, sound booth at the bottom, and the production booth at the top. Again, if you've got some kind of technical or computer skills, it's helpful, but the training in all of those systems will be provided. Our security team, I've joked about this one before, saying that if you would like to come to church but not have to sit through the whole Sunday message, this would be a great team to join, because, again, 1 week in 4, there's a team on duty behind the scenes, in the foyers, outside, just keeping an eye on things, that things are kept safe and secure. Huge thank you to the people that have served on that team in 2024. Our tea and coffee stations is the free tea and coffee that's served in the foyers. Teams to man those. Just be a friendly face, make sure that that it's all running smoothly. Bless you. The Sunday communion team. Actually, they were serving this morning as you came through the door. Every 6 weeks or so, when we have breaking of bread here on Sundays, that team arrives early, makes sure that it's set up, or they're handing the cups out and helping reset after the services as well of the breaking of bread. Our mother's room and toddler's room hosts. We've got 4 rooms for parents with young kids. I'm talking ages 2.5 and below. And those rooms have each got a host or hostess in them, on duty 1 and 4. Every week in each room, there's a friendly face willing to welcome parents in with their little ones, which is a difficult time of life to attend church. And I just want to salute all of the parents who bring little babies and toddlers along to church. You are doing them a huge service. And so this is a team to help serve the parents that are in the thick of it with bringing their kids along to church. The welcome team, the team that greet us at the doors coming in. CityHill Kids, the first 4 blocks are up here on Sundays. All 3 services we have CityHill Kids program running. We're looking for people, men and women, who are willing to be small group leaders or assistants. So each grade gets split, boys and girls. Grade 1 boys, grade 1 girls. Grade 2 boys, grade 2 girls. Some of the bigger grades, they sub-split amongst that. And one of the very special requests that I have is for dads, men. If you feel a nudge on your heart, why don't you tick that box and say, I'm going to get involved? The feedback I've had from the kids team over and over is that when men volunteer with the groups grade 3 through to grade 6, it's a tremendous impact on the boys that are part of those groups. And just as a ... if you're a parent, sometimes coming to church is just this vast relief. Like, I get to send my kids to this amazing kids program. 1 hour just to... But as a parent, why should we leave it up to everybody else to invest in the lives of our kids? I've heard so many parents give this feedback, said, I was reluctant to serve at CityHill Kids, and then I went, and my own child was so delighted to have me there. And so they've tracked with their kids, like they volunteered at grade 2 when the kid was in grade 2, all the way up through to grade 6, etc. The check-in desk are the people who volunteer when parents arrive to check children in, but they attend the Sunday service afterwards. The welcome host is a role in the foyer that helps connect particularly new or visiting families with our kids program. Large group, if you've got a gift of being able to tell a story in front of one of the groups of children or lead some of the worship with the action songs that we've got. Firehouse, the next block down, is grade 5 to 7. It's a junior youth on Friday night. Tash heads that up, and we're looking for some volunteers to add into that team. It's 5:30 to 7:30. That's also information, by the way. If you've got kids in that age group, bring them along here Friday night, 5:30. City Teach on the right-hand side, we heard in the video announcements those courses referenced. Just to mention about E2M Bible College, it's not a course that runs on a Monday night here. It is a theological 2-year diploma, distance learning, full kinder heads up CityHill Bible College that does this ETM material. And you could do the accredited version of that or the non-accredited. The one's a little more work than the other. Amazing opportunity there. And then the life courses, the wholeness course, pre-marriage, marriage enrichment, parenting, grief share, divorce care, and divorce care for kids. Single and parenting, you're welcome to tick that box. The course, I believe, will only be run in the second half of the year. The City Heart Block to the left, if you would like to be a facilitator on any of those courses that are listed there, you're welcome to tick that box. And then the counseling team, we have a volunteer-trained in-house counseling team made up of people from this church who volunteer time to offer counseling during the week. If you'd like to find out more or go through that training process, why don't you tick that block? City Reach is the trips that go out overland, especially to Eswatini, Lesotho, and South Mozambique. There's also local things that happen on weekends here in and around Durban. If you're keen to find out more info, I think we sent out 120 people in vehicles last year to go to those 3 different neighboring countries. We hope to send many more this year. And then Nation Changes and Disaster Relief. Please take note, that's midweek volunteering. If you'd like to come find out a bit more, you've got some midweek hours from between 8 and 1 in that time frame. Please come along. Or please sign those blocks, and somebody will get back to you. Once you're done filling these forms in, at each of the 6 exits is a wooden box that you can just fold it up and dump it in. Please make sure it gets in there so that we can serve you by getting back to you on that. What I'm going to do is for the next 1 minute is we're going to play some music, and I'd like you to prayerfully consider, look at the form and prayerfully consider, Lord, where would you like me to get involved? Might be 1 box, might be 2 or 3. Tick the box, drop it in the wooden box on the way out. But we're going to wait for 1 minute. If I could just ask everyone to remain seated. Guys, if you could roll the music at the back, and when a minute's gone by, I'm going to pray. Then Jax will come and close the meeting. Father, I want to thank you this morning for the incredible power of serving that has benefited us, and through our lives we want to benefit others. Thank you that when we serve, we follow your example. When we serve, there's a profound sense of purpose and belonging that comes from it. Thank you that it happens to also be good for our health, and that when we serve together, like fingers as part of a fist, we are able to have a much bigger impact than just us doing life alone. And so I pray for each one of us as we want to hear from you, where would you like us to serve? That this year ahead would be a year of great impact in all these different areas in the life of our church. In Jesus' name, amen. Jax, over to you.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. If you would like prayer for anything, we have a team that would love to pray with you. So won't you come down to the front as the service ends, and someone will be here waiting to pray. And just a reminder, those forms, you can just pop them in the boxes on the exits. If you forget, the Connect station can also take them. And the coffee shop is open. There's free tea and coffee in the foyers. So won't you join us? Let's spend some time together. Have a wonderful Sunday, and God bless you.